Hi, welcome to Simplify Your Move Module 4, Sorting Through It All. First thing you got to do is you already decided on where you're going to start, so go to that room or area where you decided to begin. And in each area, I recommend starting with the storage area. So that means that if you are working in the kitchen, to organize that, start in the pantry. If you're starting in a bedroom, start with the closet. If you're starting with the garage, start with your upper storage. Very important, that way the storage area will be clear, you'll know what's in there, you'll have space to put things into as you are working around the room. The other thing that's really important is try to work in an order, top to bottom, left to right, or right to left. If you're in a bedroom, for example, and you've already cleared the closet and you organized the closet and you're ready to organize the room, it's best to start in one corner. I usually start like behind a door, and you just start there and work around the room. That way there is order to it. It's more difficult to organize things when you're jumping from place to place, room to room. So it's easier just to start in one spot and then continue around. I also recommend that when you're going to organize an area, make sure that you have your donation boxer bag set up. You have a boxer bag for repairs, boxer bag for things that are in the wrong room, and of course a recycle and a trash as well. So you have all those containers set up. If your area is small, for example, if it's a very small bedroom, you can set those up in the hallway outside of the room. You can also set up a table. The table is really good for collecting those small things and sorting through those small things as well. In the bedroom, if you decide to use the bed as like a sorting table, that is absolutely fine. Just make sure that you put like maybe an old sheet or an old comforter or something over the bed, because the things that you're bringing out of the closet or out of these different areas and sorting are probably dusty. So just it makes it easier, it makes it cleaner. So I recommend doing that. So the other thing you want to do is if you end up at the end of your organization and you'll have boxes of trash, recycle, donation, and things that go into another area. As soon as you're done with that space, immediately put the donations in the car, take them down. If not immediate, as soon as possible. There's nothing more depressing than organizing a whole room and being left with a whole pile of bags and they sit there for months. So don't do that. Once you've decided it's trash, recycle, donation, out it goes. Don't hang on to it any longer. So if you have things like I was saying that belong to another room, label the boxer container and say like maybe these belong in the den. Then take that container to the den and put it there in kind of out of the way place. Don't unpack it into that room unless you've already organized that room. So if your den is already organized, then you can put those items away. That's great. But if you haven't organized it yet, don't start putting those away, because then you're going to have to sort through them again. And we don't want to do that. We're trying to eliminate time and we're trying to eliminate steps. So the other things I wanted to talk about, and I'm making sure I'm checking my list to make sure that I cover all the points I want it to make, is make sure that you have containers to sort into as well. A few extra boxes are nice, or containers, because you're going to have small things and you're going to want to organize them into something right away. It doesn't have to be the final container you're going to use to store it, but just a way of grouping those things so they're not rolling all over the place. That helps out a whole bunch. So if you've already bought specific containers, you can definitely organize directly into those specific containers. I do recommend that in a lot of situations where you already have your containers and you can just sort into them. It saves you time. Sometimes, however, you don't really know how much of something you're going to end up with or end up keeping. And sometimes it's easier to first see what you have, how much, and then get a container that's the right size. So don't forget to measure your storage areas as well, so you know when you're shopping for containers what the correct size will fit. I like to go for containers that are easy to open and close. I know it seems like in all my videos I'm always harping on this, but if the containers are difficult to open or close, you simply will not use them, and they just become kind of useless. Another thing is with the containers, you can go for clear containers, or you can go for containers that you can't see through. So I have a few little examples. So let me show you this first one. This first one here, this is a container you cannot see in. I use this for my papers for QuickBook, and you can see it has a label on it. You need to label your containers because even if they look different, it still gets confusing. It's nice to have it clearly labeled. So that one's for QuickBooks. This one's for check it off your list. And that's where I put all the papers that I'm working on currently that are not ready to be filed away. It just keeps them front and center so I can open up the box and get back to work. And even if you're interrupted, you can return to working. So that's one kind of closed container. The other kind of container is you may have something like this. And this is a cute little fabric container. These are good for bathrooms and bedrooms. And this particular one holds claws. And you notice that it has a label on it. I used a label maker and it says claws on it. Because otherwise, if your closet is all organized and you have a bunch of these across your shelf and you don't have them labeled, you don't want to have to go take them down to see what's inside. So that's how to label those. And then the other thing I have is I have clear containers. Now these particular ones are from IKEA. They're very easy to open and close. You can see inside of them. I did label them all. So you can see when you have a stack of them, they actually stack very nicely on the shelf. So these are what you would call like modular units. You stack. There's also different sizes, and you can put different sizes on your same shelf, and they will go together and like 2 equals 1, that kind of thing. The sides are pretty straight, which gives you more room for storage. So that's an example of a clear container. And once again, make sure you label even the clear containers, because even though you think you can see in it, sometimes it gets confusing if you have items that are a similar shape or similar color. So sorting through other things, I wanted to talk for a minute about books. It would be great if you could look at a bookshelf and you could just skim through the titles and start pulling out books. You may be able to do that. Most people, however, that makes it more difficult. Most people, it's a lot easier to pull out maybe 5 books and sort and go donation, keep, and then go through the next 5, donation, keep, library, that way until you've gone through all the books. And then it gives you the opportunity to dust off the shelves because they're probably going to need it, and dust off the books and then put them back on the shelf, and maybe even put it in a new arrangement. That's kind of fun too. You can have books vertically, you can have books horizontally, you can break it up where you have books that have maybe an art object, a piece of ceramic or something on top of a few, just to make it more decorative. And one of the things that I absolutely love is when you have a bookshelf that's full of books and you actually can hang art on the bookshelf. So you see the books behind the art and then you see the art. It just gives it a real pretty decorative look and makes it able to have art and books, both. So when you're looking through your books, what are you looking for? You're looking through outdated books. You're looking for books. Are they still relevant? Are they still useful? Are they memorabilia? I've known a lot of clients that want to keep all their college books, and they keep them as memorabilia because honestly, I'd say 99% of them are probably worthless. And if you don't believe me, try to sell them. Textbooks don't do very well on the book market. There's a few that do. There's a few old computer manuals, those kind of things that are kind of collectibles. But other than that, they ordinarily are outdated and don't do too well. So really think about which books you actually want to keep. Which ones are worth keeping? What are you actually going to use? And see if somebody could use them. I had one person who had a huge library and donated, I want to say, probably 400 books to the local library. They needed books, and the drawback is when you're donating, you have to go ship them there or you have to drive them there. So just keep that in mind, that there is a transportation issue. There's a lot of other things you can do with books. You can give them to the friends of the library and they'll go ahead and sell them to raise money for the library. So for the ones that are still worth it, they're definitely places and people who will take them. Unfortunately, the college textbooks, which people love to keep, usually are not in that valuable category. So anyway, so I just wanted to give you my 2 cents from all the times that I've organized bookshelves. The other area that I want to talk to you about is pantry and bathroom and medicine cabinet, those kind of things. I always call those easier areas to organize because when something in those areas is no longer good, it has a date on it. And if it doesn't have a date on it, that makes me think that it's probably you've had it since before they started dating items. So those things need to go. And unfortunately, food pantries do not take food items that are outdated or open. So I know a lot of people think, well, somebody could use it, but unfortunately they won't take it. And I do really understand their reasons. I mean, they don't know how old it is, where it's been, that kind of thing. So it's a safety issue. So if you have old food items, those just have to go. So that makes it easy to clean out a pantry and a kitchen and a bathroom. So those kind of things. I do have a closet video, which you are welcome to look at, that goes into detail about organizing your closet and finding more space in your closet. So I definitely go to the download for that and take a look at that. It will give you more information about cleaning out your closet. And then I also have a checklist of sorts that has questions that you want to ask yourself when you're trying to decide which clothes you want to keep and which clothes you want to donate. And I have some other really great recommendations in that closet video as well. So next, I'd like to talk about furniture, jewelry, clothes, and tools. And what I'm talking about right now is the ones that are in need of repair. A lot of times we'll hang on to those kind of things because we'll go, oh my gosh, they're still good, they're in need of repair. You really have to ask yourself, are you really going to take the time, because it is time consuming, to find a place to repair it, pay for getting it repaired, and then is it going to be worth it to you in the end? Is the price that you're going to pay to have that item repaired going to be worth the cost? In other words, could you buy another one similar for less than what you're paying to repair it? I know it's real sad when we have to donate things or get rid of things, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So in organizing, you want to make sense. You want to be efficient, and you want your decisions to be to make sense. If it's worth the repair, then get it repaired and put a timeline on your calendar. I will get it repaired by, and research who to get it repaired by. So that kind of takes care of the big items. Also, things with missing parts. If you have something, and this happens with games and toys, if you have a toy or game that has missing parts, more than likely it's not going to be worth it to keep it, because if you don't find the part, it makes the toy or the thing, what would you say it? Irrelevant. You can't use it anymore. It's useless, basically. That's what that was the word I was trying to get, was useless. So those are other kind of things that are no-brainers. If there's missing pieces, missing parts that you can't get the parts for, it's not worth it to get the parts for, then out they go. And once again, don't donate those things, because if you can't use it and you can't play that game, somebody else can't either. So that's just my take on those kind of things. Having kind of set rules when you're organizing and sorting through things makes it easier, because then you can just think, oh yeah, set rule. If it's missing parts, there it goes. Tools that no longer work. They're kind of in the same category. If they're a tool and they don't work and you're never going to be able to use it because it can't be fixed, you don't want to fix it, then out it goes. So that's what you can do with those kind of things. The other thing that I find lots of when I'm sorting things is electrical cords, or cords for different types of devices. And a lot of times nobody has a clue what they belong to. So if you're really worried that you don't know where it belongs to and you think you may need it sometime in the future, what I recommend is just putting all these cords that you have no idea where they go to, put them inside a box, label the date on the box, keep them for 6 months to a year. If you haven't needed the cord by then, you can just throw it out. Sometimes you may have somebody you know who can identify them really quickly. And of course, if you do know what that cord is for, immediately go ahead and put a label on it. You can use a string to tie a label on. You can use a sticky label, write what it is and fold it over. That way it won't become a I don't know what this is again, which happens quite frequently when you're organizing through things. So once you've sorted through everything, you will have a good idea of how much you have. You will know what you want to put back into the area, and you're ready to go shopping and buy containers. If you've bought containers ahead of time, which sometimes is a good thing because then you have something to sort things into, that's great. But if you haven't bought your containers yet, then go ahead and make a list of what you need. Decide whether you want your container to be clear or decorative, and then decide what you're going to label it with. Because remember, whether it's clear or decorative, you are going to put a label on it so you know what is in there. I look forward to seeing you in my next module. Have fun sorting through your things.